Dude, it's finally here. What's going on, everybody? My name is Tenebris Infinite, and welcome to the August update. For today, we're going to be talking over all of the major features, the patch notes, and doing a little bit of testing to see what's going on under the hood for this month's update. So, let's jump into things here first with one of the biggest major adaptations that they've brought to the game, the introduction of storage boxes. So this right here is the Plunderer, and the Plunderer is basically a big old box that you can store stuff in. And have you ever wondered what's in the box? Surprise, it's just more boxes. But if you guys have been following my videos, you'll already have been super prepared for the Plunderer to be coming to the game, and you should be ready for your first big dump. I know I am, so I'm just gonna go through and quickly drop off all of my stuff into the Plunderer here. So sadly, I was over-prepared, and I wound up farming way too much stuff here. But, yeah, so it seems like my storage box for some reason only has 99 slots instead of 100. I'm not sure if that's because I mixed up some weapons in here, but you guys definitely let me know if you've been able to utilize all 100 slots of your Plunderer or not, because as of right now, I can't. But, yeah, dropped off a lot of my stuff here. I was able to get most of my ammo and most of my medkits into this, so I'm happy about that. The one thing that I can say, though, is that weapons take up 2 slots, 2 spots per weapon, so they actually wind up filling up a lot more of your storage box than you would think. As you would hope that it would be each individual item, but these guys count for 2. And the other thing that I'm a little bit disappointed in that we could maybe give as feedback to the developers is that there's no way of actually sorting or moving around any of the items when they're in the storage box. It's just goes in at the point where you've placed the item. So as the list has filled out here, you'll notice that I started putting my adrenaline shots in here, and so say for me, I maybe would want to move my adrenaline shots more towards the bottom or more towards the top. It would be nice if we could have the option to do that in the future with these storage boxes. But all in all, having the addition of the Plunderer is a major upgrade to everything going on here, and is going to be very welcome to all of the new players as well as the existing players, for being a method of transporting a large amount of items still. 100 might not be perfect, but we'll hopefully maybe see that get increased in the future. And for now, it's just going to serve a great amount of utility for us. So one of the next big things that should be fixed in this update is toolboxes and their loot spawning. So I'm just going to round around Ostervik here and find myself a toolbox, and we'll see if we can get any good loot out of it. Alright, we found our first toolbox, and there is loot in it. Awesome. So the toolboxes have been fixed all throughout the map, my dudes. So with the introduction of the Plunderer and the storage boxes being fixed, the next big thing is that side missions have all been fixed. So you're able to do all of your side missions and not get worried about getting caught up in any of the objectives glitching out or anything like that. But the exciting thing for the side missions is moving on into the future. So the next step for side missions is to tweak how they're handled when you're playing solo versus multiplayer. Right now, in multiplayer, they behave like main missions do, as in everything that can be synced up is synced up between players. In the future, the team's going to be exploring how to make side missions completable by everyone independently. Why? so that you're not accidentally completing a side mission when your friend ran off to finish a side mission across the map while you're in the middle of a main mission. So, so from the sounds of it, moving on into the future, it's basically going to be that side missions will be completely independent per player, which is really exciting. They've also made a lot of changes to some game balance. So definitely, it's going to take some playing to see how that game balance is played out. But definitely, this is all based on player feedback. So we have to just kind of keep that player feedback going towards the devs so that we can continue crafting Generation Zero into the beast it should be. And the next thing is machine behavior. So there have been a lot of tweaks to machines in the world, and we're going to be testing that out later on in the video. As well, they've made a couple changes to safe houses in multiplayer. So moving forwards, anytime when you join someone else's game and you find yourself unlocking a new safe house, you'll find that that safe house is going to be unlocked in your main game no matter what, as some people have had issues with having safe houses carry over from multiplayer to their single player games. So, with those major things out of the way, let's get into the nitty-gritty patch notes here. Alright, my dudes, let's get into the real meat and potatoes of this update, and let's start talking about these patch notes here. It's an absolutely massive list, so I'm just going to go through this pretty quickly with a little bit of commentary throughout it, and then afterwards we'll really assess some of these update features here. So first, they fixed up the audio issue that could occur around Muscadine Bunker. Probably the big explosion that would happen every single time you would fast travel there. They fixed the sound effect for tank ragdolls, and they fixed the tank footstep sounds and made the walking sound match up with the animation better. And they fixed the sound effects for when you tried to fire when you were out of ammo. For animation fixes, they corrected the reload animation for when you were reloading the Messer rifle or any of the sidearms when you were in the crouched position. For your character, they corrected an issue that could cause the player character to be stuck in a state with lower than intended movement speed, which is a godsend fix right there. They also resolved an issue that could sometimes cause the player to have to hit abandon twice when they were trying to respawn at a safe house. And then they also corrected an issue that could cause the revive and abandon options to not appear correctly when you were put into a down state. For your items, they renamed the ACOG scope to the red dot scope, and they corrected an issue that could result in ammunition disappearing from your inventory. They also fixed a whole bunch of crashes that were client-side, and for the DLC, they fixed a whole bunch of clipping issues when it came to the new DLC items. So for the enemies, they fixed an issue that could result in the tank enemies becoming passive when you were fighting them. They fixed an issue where the harvesters would not correctly use their missiles and their rocket launchers. And they fixed the runners, the shotgun equipped ones specifically, that weren't using their weaponry correctly. They also have the machines reacting faster to players when you get close to them, and reacting more properly and appropriately when you shoot them down from a distance. They fixed an issue that could result in the hunter moving into the ready to fire pose, but then not firing, which usually resulted in this funny little hunter dance. They also fixed the tank gas attacks to use the correct animation, and they've corrected an issue that could cause excessive amounts of runners to spawn outside of Uttern Bunker. For the environment, they've corrected the pathway to a room that was blocked off in Muscadine Bunker, and they've corrected multiple instances of floating terrain, incorrect collision on props and terrain, and resolved potential areas where the player could get stuck. Alright, so for some loot fixes here, they corrected an issue that prevented the toolboxes from spawning any sort of loot, so that's back across the whole map, my dudes. They have improved the drop rate of ticks for people using the engineer skill, so ticks will once again become useful. I'm super stoked about that. And then they've also fixed previous looted containers to update with closed lids when they're ready to be looted again. For the map, they've corrected an issue that could cause map markers to remain after the related mission was completed, and also they've fixed the last stand to have the correctly labeled map marker. So for the missions, there is an absurd amount of fixes here. The team have fixed up all of the side missions from the looks of things going through here. So if any of you guys want to read out the specific fixes to missions in depth for yourselves, I'll have a link to the patch notes in the description. But the main thing to focus on for any of you that had any side missions that you were stuck on, if you notice that they're gone from your log, don't worry about it. Just go off and try to restart the mission again, and everything should move smoothly for you from this point. So now for multiplayer, they have set it up so that safe houses unlocked in multiplayer will now correctly carry over to your single player game. They fixed an issue that would result in Windows Defender blocking saves from storing, and the same problem was happening with Bitdefender, it sounds. So it seems like they fixed both of those issues there. They've fixed an issue where a user would be unable to save the game if the save file was corrupted and the backup file was missing. So that sounds like a really particular setup of events, but that's been fixed. For bikes, it's no longer possible to steer while you're trying to type a message. So this is for PC players and PC players exclusive, I think. So previously, when you were trying to type, A and D would still steer you on your bike. So that's been fixed. They've made the flashlight point in the appropriate direction where the bike is facing when you're in multiplayer. And they fixed the interaction prompt. When you've fallen off your bike, sometimes it'll be really difficult to get back onto it, so it sounds like that's going to be a lot easier now. And then they fixed an issue that prevented bikes from being spawned off at Muscadine Port Safe House. For the UI, the team screen has received a makeover, so we'll check that out after. The player distance is now correctly sticking to the metric or imperial setting that you set in the menu, and the stamina meter will no longer behave inconsistently when you're playing in multiplayer. For the weapons, when aiming down sights, it should now transition really smoothly instead of snapping to the maximum zoom, so it sounds like the aim down sights animation is a lot better now. And they fixed an issue that would cause stuttering when aiming down the sights using the 1x4 scope. They've also fixed the green dot sights on tier 5 loot, and they've fixed an issue that caused some weapons to have a solid gray texture. Alongside that, this is a pretty big thing for everybody that uses stealth in this game. They've corrected a description text issue on suppressors. They do not actually reduce weapon damage, so you can suppress your weapons without worrying about nerfing your weapon in any way, shape, or form. So that's super awesome. And lastly here, explosions now correctly cause damage to players in all intended cases. So now with those patch notes out of the way, let's go off and test some of these things. So one of the big things that I wanted to look at was that team page makeover. So let's go over to our team page. Woo, look at that. Dude, it's fresh. Dude, it is fresh. I dig it. I dig it. It's going along in the same vein as the way the skills page has gone. And that is really good to see. I'd like to see this UI improvement carry over to all of the menu options, and for everything to become nice and sleek and stylized like what it is for these two screens. Alright, so first things first, now that we've gotten some of that other stuff out of the way, let's look at how the AI has changed for some of the units here. I know that there's something kind of spiffy about tanks, and I'd like to see if I could show it off here. So let's see if I can get down to this guy really quickly. So first things first, I'm going to take off his weapons just to see if I can bait out this behavior from him. Let's see if we could see that new gas animation. Hey, that's actually genuinely really cool. Alright, there we go. Man, that gas attack is so much cooler now. It's got a sick sound effect to it. What the hell? Alright. What? He moves so much faster. That's ridiculous. I've never seen a tank move like that. That's genuinely awesome. Okay, and it seems like, yeah, that gas canister wound up damaging me. So you have to be a little bit careful about blowing up gas canisters when you're close to the robot. Look at this. Already knowing how to deal with this crazy new running attack. Well, that's really cool. I think it's super sick that they've given them a new attack being a running attack, and also have given them that fancy new gas animation. So next up, let's go off and see if we can find ourselves a harvester and some runners to see what changes have happened to their II. Oh, also, got a tick right off the bat from this Phoenix tank. Well, here are some runners. They're right off the bat noticing me from a much further distance. Using stealth to our advantage here. It does seem like we've aggroed the whole bunch. Alright, so they do seem a little bit quicker to respond. Alright, let's take care of this seeker boy here before he beep boops. We got another one. Dang it. Runners do seem much more aggressive now, though. I think that's good. Alright, so now let's go off and see if we can find ourselves a harvester. Alright, well, I wasn't really planning on testing hunters, but let's see if hunters have changed. making new sound effects, which is really cool. Oh, dang it. Are we alive? We are alive. Nice. Alright, let's take down this guy now real quick. I'm having the hardest time finding a harvester, of course. Only when I need to make a video. Weird. Okay, this is a bit of weird behavior from the hunters here. We'll see. Yeah, he's just gonna stick up there, eh? I'm not complaining, but... This might be what they do instead of going for their ready-to-fire pose. And I think that that's a harvester down there, if I'm hearing correctly. It definitely is. Alright, my dudes. Garpamar. Always being reliable. Okay, so we're gonna have to deal with the runners first, and then see how bad the harvesters are. Deal with the rocket runner first. And then let's take out this guy. I'm not noticing anything different in the runners, really, other than the fact that they're a little bit more aggressive. Alright, now for the harvester. Let's see how his rocket attacks are now that the AI has been changed. You gonna shoot your rocket, Steve? Come on. I might regret this. Oh! Okay. So they launched one volley. Oh, and it seems like they've got a little bit of a spiff up to their gas animation as well. Nice. Farting animations on point. It does seem like the usual approach still works with all of these enemies. Alright, let's try blowing up some of these canisters on his back now. Weird. I had seen online that their health pods now have individual health pools, but it doesn't seem like it for me. Alright, let's finish this guy off. Nice! So all in all, the AI is feeling much more aggressive as of the latest patch. For me, I think that there could still be some improvements made, just making them a little bit faster and a little bit more aggressive than they are now at this point. But you guys definitely let me know what you think about the new AI changes down in the comments below. But there we go. There's the August update. I tested all the AI behavior. I've checked all of the loot, all of the new changes and stuff like that. And I definitely think that this is one of the best updates so far. Things are feeling incredibly smooth in this game, and I think that this update here is some of the most solid foundation that they've built into this game. So definitely let me know what your guys' thoughts are about the August update down in the comments below. And hopefully you guys are all enjoying this update as much as I am. But until next time, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Until then, peace.